South Africa is a country with immense diversity, and this diversity means that its people have diverse opinions, especially politically. In KwaZulu-Natal, on the east coast of South Africa, this is no different. Today, we speak to the Secretary General of the Allied Movement for Change, Mr. Niven Pillay, as we explore the political expression of those who support this particular political party. Mr. Pillay, good day and welcome to Uncovered. Just to kind of get the conversation going, could you give me an overview of what the Allied Movement for Change is?
Good morning, Fazlin, and viewers. Thank you for this opportunity. It is indeed a pleasure that we could share this platform with you to discuss the organization. As you mentioned, my name is Niven Pillay, and I'm the Secretary General to the Allied Movement for Change. We are a political organization led by and formed by our leader, Mr. Roy Buller, who is a former parliamentarian. Our main focus is addressing issues at grassroots levels. We want to make sure that policies and procedures that are promulgated in the highest office of the land through the experience and expertise of our organization actually reaches the people. We find that service delivery lacks throughout every municipality, throughout the province, and people are left destitute. So in a nutshell, as we say, it is only action that defines one's character. So that is the modus operandi which we operate under. With that, just allow me to give you a little bit of background of the AM4C. We came into inception in 2014 and was formed by, as I said, Mr. Buller. Fazlin, it is not often that as an organization we have a member of Mr. Buller's expertise and knowledge that is able to then come right down to grassroots, work with the people, and bring about policies and procedures that make a difference to ordinary citizens. We focus on bread and butter issues, and we constantly live by that we cut our suit according to our cloth. In other words, we look at realistic problems, so problems that we can find amicable and viable solutions to. So in doing that, we build a relationship with the people and where they could resonate with us, and we form a trust and a relationship.
So very often the argument is made that the South African political landscape is very saturated with political parties. In that we have obviously the majority ruling party of the ANC, and then we have numerous opposition parties. And very often the argument is made is that we do need a substantive opposition towards the ANC for whether it is accountability of them or to challenge political power. What makes the Allied Movement for Change different within that context that sets it apart specifically from other opposition parties?
Okay, if we go back to history and we go back to freedom fighters and people that have taken over the reins purely for the benefit of humanity, we find that they have given their time and their energy and dedicated their lives purely for that purpose. Now, the fact that we are a new organization, we have drawn onto our ranks similar individuals who share that dream. So when you have people that come onto the ranks who now want to only have the sole purpose of serving humanity, what happens is amazing things take place because people work from the heart. They resonate with people. They understand what they are doing. So very often within our structures, our leaders between municipalities and different wards are members that have come through the system, that have overcome obstacles. Now what they want to do is they want to give back. They want to give back to the people. So use together with the expert knowledge of legislature, policies, we are then able to take these concepts and make them into tangible, realistic solutions for the people, because we know exactly what it is that they want. Now, at the moment, policy is policy. Constitution is constitution. It doesn't matter how big, how small. At the end of the day, we are governed by the Constitution. So if we, one of the things that we find that works to our benefit is that our knowledge of policies, constitution, regulations that is able now to be able to turn it into solutions, and that is how we are able to stand our ground. We are not the opposition as such. We have a stance where we would come in, we would support something that would benefit society. We would oppose something that we find is against the Constitution. So, we just wouldn't just take a complete opposition to anything that you say. We are there to support you. We want to work with the ruling party of the day, the organization of the day. We want to support you. We want to grow. And at the end of the day, our main aim is that the citizens of South Africa benefit.
So to unpack that last point, because I think that is a very valid point, so what you're saying essentially is whatever is of benefit to the community or your constituency, that is what you would push for or propagate. I just want to clarify that point, even if it means working with the one or the other, whoever they may be.
Yes, provided it is in line with our constitution. And the emphasis constitution and our policies. Empowerment is massive. Youth empowerment is huge for us. So those are the things that we look at. Unemployment, we look at destitute people, the old, the pensioned, people that have served and now somehow have been forgotten, as long as it's in line with our constitution and within our policies, definitely we will support.
So in light of, if you look at the KwaZulu-Natal political dynamic, so there are quite a number of political parties that historically are ethnically based. I think far more than any other province, we find that in KwaZulu-Natal, we have a lot of ethnic-based parties. How does the Allied Movement for Change fit within that context, where parties historically have been ethnically based? So if we look at both the NFP and the IFP, they specifically, the vast majority of their constituents come from specific ethnic groups. If we look historically, for example, at the Minority Front, also historically seen as garnering support from a particular ethnic group. Where does the Allied Movement for Change fit within that dynamic of a province which historically has seemed to be voting on ethnic blocks?
Our vision and the principles of the organization are very clear. We welcome all ethnic groups, all races, and we are diverse. Now, fortunately, within KZN and within the ward in which the AM4C currently governs, we have a very nice mix of different race groups, even people on different levels of socioeconomic challenges. So through experience, we are able to identify what are the needs of each of those units. For instance, the rural settlements in which we function in, running water is a problem. Sanitation is a problem. Unemployment is a problem. Employment is a problem, especially during COVID. Now, we've ran through many programs within the informal settlements. Jojo tanks. We managed to get the reticulation system sorted out. Created work through one family, one garden in terms of equipping members of the society with all the resources that they would need to start up an initiative like this. So we speak to them. And they resonate with us. And we find that currently, through our political analysis, it is right now very difficult for us to actually find a segregation. In fact, I can boldly say that our support base comes from all the races of South Africa. So we understand that it is a risk if we want to be ethnically focused. It is challenges that South Africans face is challenges that each one of us face, no matter where we come from, what our backgrounds are. It's real. It's in our face. The stance that we take is that we will speak to each one of our people and their needs. Our structures, we have a women's structures, a women's league is very strong in rural settlements. We ran out libraries, community libraries in informal settlements. We have feeding schemes. I think it's amazing how we're able to go into a settlement, welcomed, and people appreciate us for what we do. Even on social media, through the newspapers, through the local papers, you'll find people writing in, often lauding the efforts of the AM4C.
Mm-hmm. So just to speak quickly on your leader. So obviously a lot of South Africans would have known him historically in terms of having been a member of parliament, and subsequent to that, obviously starting the Allied Movement for Change. In terms of the vision that the leader of the Allied Movement for Change has, what is that vision? What does it look like? And more specifically, what does he bring in terms of his past dynamic in Parliament, and then obviously now within Council?
Okay, first of all, the organization is really blessed and humbled to be led by a man of Mr. Buller's stature, a man of integrity, sound principles. Very often his question to members and the board is, how do we see the future? what is the future look like for our grandkids? What is the future looking for our children that need to seek employment? You know, he's quite honestly, from a personal perspective, he didn't need to come in and form the Allied Movement for Change. He could have very well partnered with or gone into the ranks of any of the opposition parties. But for him, what legacy was he going to leave behind? What is the future? For me, that is something that actually brought me into the Allied Movement for Change. And I am honored to be serving with a member like that. His vision is basically to look at it and to put into perspective the future, where we bring all South Africans together. He has brought in young leaders into the ranks. We have a national spokesperson who's a young gentleman. Also, our national youth leader, national women's league leader is a young female. So he is very very focused on empowering younger people and knowing that and believing that they are the future.
So in terms of like, obviously, if anybody were to go onto the Allied Movement for Change's Facebook page, you can certainly see that there's a lot of activity, including the leaders' Facebook page. So if you can tell me, what are some of the programs that you guys are rolling out? And I think it's important to highlight that you obviously serve or govern in some wards or areas. But some of the programs, obviously, that you roll out has nothing to do with actually a constituency mandate, but it's maybe the auspices are acted under the auspices of the party. So from that perspective, what are some of the programs that you guys are currently rolling out? I know for myself, I saw the Women's Day program, which was quite innovative in terms of its online presence. So if you can unpack some of that for me, that would be great.
Okay. Yes, I did mention one of those, which would be the One Family, One Garden. Also, we focus immensely on youth development through SMMEs, empowering SMMEs. We ran a program a few months ago where we took 30 entrepreneurs under the wing of the Allied Movement for Change, brought them into the system, actually got their businesses registered, brought in, partnered with government institutions to roll out programs. And now I'm glad to say that they are functioning. In fact, even in a position where they've actually been able to create some employment for the people around us. The One Family, One Garden principle is aimed at focusing on the agricultural sector. If you look at how that has diminished over the past few years, you'll see that it is definitely an area that South Africans need to focus on. So what we do is through each community that we interact with, by the way, we have branches throughout KwaZulu-Natal, in Gauteng, Eastern Cape. So, and in each of those areas, we have an independent women's structure, independent youth structure that then reports to our governing body. So in each of those areas, the Women's League take on the one family, one garden principle, where we bring in 10 or 15 committed people, and from there we identify a massive piece of land, and then we organize the agriculture, or the irrigation, the fencing, the security, and then we work together with the business forums in the area, and then we sell off the goods that is harvested from those gardens.
Mm-hmm. So, just in terms of I think you gave a really good dynamic of what the organization is currently doing outside of necessarily a political mandate, and I think that's also very important. But if we look at the voting trends, for example, so in 2016, the Allied Movement for Change contested elections. It won a ward in the Umdoni municipality. What are the projections? And one could argue that a lot of that had to do with the personality of Mr. Roy Bula in having been a member of parliament and having previously been a councillor in the municipality. But in terms of the growth trajectory of the party, obviously, we know from other experiences in other political parties. If you look at the MF, the Minority Front, when Amichad Rajvansi passed away, the MF kind of dwindled. So if you look at the UDM, some similar challenges that they face centering around Bantu Holomisa. One could make the argument with the IFP as well. So obviously within the Allied Movement for Change, there has to be a plan or a succession or whatever it may be that is centered outside of just its leader. What does the next election look like within that context? And then the broader building of the party outside of a personality of an individual.
Yes, thank you for that question. I think it's a very vital, especially looking at the projections and the growth of the organization. You're quite correct in saying that, yes, the image of Mr. Bula has helped the organization immensely in growth. We must not shy away from that, though, because his track record speaks for itself. But in saying that, we identify that as an area of opportunity, of improvement. Okay, we identify that now we need to go away from the fact that Mr. Bula is the brand, but now that it's the Allied Movement for Change that is the brand. So if you follow us and you follow the way we are now marketing the organization, it's more from the Allied Movement for Change perspective. Throughout the programs that we are running now on social media, we ran a youth talent showcase, and what is done is Mr. Bula has deliberately taken the back seat on these initiatives, and is allow the leaders to come forward and to take on the reins. So it is working, and it's helping the growth of the organization. It's empowering leaders within the system. I mean, today is an example of this as well. I mean, he could have surely been but he had previous commitments. Not saying that he had full confidence that, and he's given him his blessings, and he said to me, "Go ahead and represent the organization." So I'm humbled by that. With regards to our projections for the forthcoming elections, yes, we are contesting the local elections, and we'll be contesting the provincial and national elections in 2023. Our projections for the local elections is notwithstanding the challenges that are around us, and our realistic approach, we are looking at taking over not necessarily the wards, but PR seats within 4 to 5 new wards, quite comfortably.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And in terms of your projection from a national perspective or provincial perspective?
Well, you see, we have our branches in the eThekwini is now are gaining momentum. We would need to look at that closely. But in saying that, we are looking at one seat in the eThekwini municipality, and in the National Assembly, we're looking at one seat there as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Mr. Niven Pillay. That was Mr. Niven Pillay he's the Secretary General of the Allied Movement for Change, a political party in KwaZulu-Natal seeking to contest not just in that region, but also outside that. So as the elections come up in the coming years, we'll keep a keen eye to see the growth of the organization and also the promises that they've put forward to the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.